And then I can also see the point of view of the people that say, yeah, but you don't want militarized people in the streets just roaming around, snatching people up, many of which turn out to actually be U.S. citizens that just don't have their papers on them. Are we really going to be the Gestapo? Where's your papers? Is that what we've come to?
We're seeing many Americans across the country express a sentiment similar to the one that Joe Rogan proposes there. In fact, just today, YouGov released a poll showing more Americans now support abolishing ICE altogether than are opposed by a 3% margin. It's a slogan that many would have considered politically toxic just a few years ago. In fact, many did, and now seems to be resonating with voters, thanks in no small part to Trump and his allies on the right overplaying their anti-immigration hand. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar represents Minneapolis, and Renee Nicole Good was one of her constituents, and she joins me now. Congresswoman, first let me just ask about how your district is doing and what you have been hearing from the people you represent in that district over the past several days.
Thank you so much, Chris, for having me. The district really is on edge. People are angry. People are frustrated. They're confused. They don't understand why this chaos is necessary. And they certainly do not want this level of militarized ICE and border agents just roaming the streets, harassing and terrorizing their neighbors.
I read an article today in the Chicago Tribune that had a lead that was about a woman in Minneapolis who had federal agents knock on her door, asking her to identify the Hmong folks in her neighborhood and Asian folks in her neighborhood, if she could point them out. You represent a very diverse and remarkably mixed area. What does it do to a community to have the federal government doing that kind of ethnic, racial stalking?
Yeah, it's traumatizing. The level of terror people are experiencing is interrupting their ability to lead their lives in a normal way. We've had schools that have been canceled. We have businesses that are closing because they don't want ICE terrorizing their customers. There are a lot of people who are very much scared to go grocery shopping or visit a friend. A lot of the community is organizing itself to try to deliver food to people who are feeling that way. And so this is not only impacting folks who are immigrants, but it is having an impact on every single person.
The president, once again today, reiterated a bunch of really kind of gutter racist claims about Somalians, Somali Americans, including yourself. I'm not going to play it because it's just too gross to air. How much do you feel like this animus towards you, towards Somali Americans, is driving this entire now deadly spectacle?
I do think that he has, a target on the backs of Somalis. Unfortunately, when they came into Minneapolis, they didn't find what they thought that they would find. What they found was a community that is probably 99% legally in this country, many of them who are citizens, nearly 60% of them born in the United States. And so because they can't fulfill this promise that they made that they were going to round up Somalis, they're basically now just harassing everyone else in that anger of not being able to do what they wanted to do.
There is an increasingly loud debate over what Congress should do about what we're seeing. Some Democrats have been pushing for a fight over DHS funds. I've read members of Congress announce that there'll be a no on the upcoming continuing resolution, or it's called minibus, small omnibus, to keep the government funded, barring some changes for DHS. Where do you come down on this?
Yeah, we just put out, we just had a press conference as the lead for the Progressive Caucus. Our caucus took a stand in not supporting any funding for DHS unless there are some real changes that take place when it comes to ICE and border control.
You, along with several other members, had a visit to a facility this weekend. We've seen a number of these visits to facilities. Now, there's legislation that requires admittance of Congress, members of Congress unannounced, to inspect these facilities. That was something that was put into the law years ago. And yet we've seen resistance from DHS officials, including famously in Newark, where Monica McIver was, sort of roughed up a bit by agents. She's now being prosecuted for that. What happened to you when you tried to visit a facility this weekend?
Well, we arrived, myself and two other members from the Minnesota congressional delegation. We made our presence known. We told them we were there to do oversight. We were originally let in and given an initial tour, and then 10 minutes or so in, the agent who was taking us around got a phone call. We do think it was probably from someone from D.C. and was told that we could no longer continue because something about the big beautiful bill prohibited us from being able to do our oversight.
The president today is promising a day of reckoning and retribution coming to Minnesota. There's an announcement of more agents that are being sent to your district, to your city, to your state. It's now the largest operation. I think DHS is bragging the largest operation they've undertaken. What do you want? What needs to happen immediately for this situation to, I don't know, calm down, dissipate, find some equilibrium? This seems, what's going on right now, just utterly dangerous and unsustainable.
Yeah, I mean, it is more than dangerous. We've seen somebody already get murdered. We don't want to see anything like that take place. They have not been able to tell us what is the purpose for this search. They haven't been able to produce any evidence that they are finding people who are undocumented, who have committed crimes. Almost every single person that they have information and shared information with us has been someone that has already been adjudicated and was already in prison. And so there's no way to justify what they are doing. It is unleashing complete terror on the residents of Minnesota.
Do you have a message for the president who has targeted you a lot about what you want to see happen in your district?
We want ICE out of our district. We want them out of our state. We want this terror to stop. The lives of people are being interrupted. And it is not justifiable for the president to target our state and the residents of the beautiful state of Minnesota this way.
Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who represents the district where Renee Good was shot and killed. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.